evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Howling About Entertainment for this April 25th, 2021. And joining me this evening for the start is going to be our good buddy from the north, Ironcaster. How are you, brother?
Hey, it's been pretty good. Had a pretty good weekend off. Went and upgraded the audio setup, and here we are, ready to start a new week, ready to get some new stories in.
There you go, man. Mike sounds outstanding, brother. Absolutely crystal clear, perfect. So, yeah, man, it's been a good weekend. Walked around like a free man this morning. Went to the grocery store, and I didn't have anything stifling my face, and I mean, it was just good. It was good. It's a good morning. I was pleased. All right. Hey, there is our other good buddy from the great state of Michigan, Draco Argentus. How are you, my friend?
I am doing excellent, sir. How are you doing this fine day?
Oh, man, I can't complain, my brother. I can't complain. Holy smokes, you're
lights out.
You're not at the office today. All right.
No, I am not. I'm not at the office today. Isn't that weird? Yes. They decided.
How did you swing a Sunday off?
They decided they didn't need me, so today I am at home.
Well, all right, man. As long as that's not a permanent decision.
No.
Excellent.
Not at the moment.
Well, we are glad to have you, my brother. And just another red shirt should be joining us in just a little bit. Let's say a quick hello to the chat. We have the great Mensch Wrench, Eric K. And, of course, Man of War 665, the neighbor of the beast, who does not appreciate being told what to do by God. And we've got a few other folks that have yet to say hello, but glad to see everybody. Mary G, of course, always wonderful to have you, ma'am. Good to see you. So, Mortal Kombat, guys. Mortal Kombat. Now, I went and saw the movie, and we were chatting about this on the cocktail lounge the other night, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I have heard that people who are really heavy into the video game series maybe didn't like it as much as I did. But for what it was, which to me was a popcorn action flick, it did everything I wanted. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of good choreography in the fights. And I got to check out and enjoy it with a sold-out theater, which was very cool.
I don't think I've been at a sold-out theater in ever.
Well, in fairness, it was a socially distanced sold-out theater. So every group had an empty seat on either side of them. But with that restriction, it was as full as they could make the theater. Sentient Dildo is here. Jaffo. Yes, peanut butter jelly time. And Lord Thoth. Yes. Yeah, Thoth was not a fan. He was one of the ones I was thinking of as a big fan of the video game that didn't like it as much as me. So I don't know. Ironcaster, what did you think overall, brother?
Well, I think it definitely wasn't the best of the Mortal Kombat movies, but it wasn't the worst. It took some liberties with the IP, and if we're gonna get into spoiler territory, but we can save that for later. It takes some liberties with Mortal Kombat and the franchise, and it does have some fun with it. I mean, you get to see a lot of the iconic stuff. I mean, I got to see Sub-Zero in the trailer, and I got to see all the cool stuff there. Sub-Zero's my guy, so I went in pretty happy with that.
Fair enough. Draco, I mean, overall thoughts, man?
Overall thoughts, I knew about Mortal Kombat for a long time. I played the original video game in the arcade, as a matter of fact, although
yep,
I was much more of a Street Fighter, into Street Fighter, and I kind of liked Virtua Fighter, but Mortal Kombat was one. There were plenty of guys who clicked right into playing that game and were more skilled at it than I. So I didn't play it that much. But the thing is that I got, like most normies, the most gross idea, the outside image of it, that it was very bloody, it was very overt, there was nothing small potatoes about it, and at least connecting that over, that is exactly what I got from all of the action set pieces, and I would say all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although the insert character didn't get the strength that I thought he needed to fit into the group, that Cole didn't feel like, I mean, even when his Arcana opened up, I don't know how much I'm supposed to stay away from spoilers.
I don't think
even
we
when
need
his
to worry
Arcana
about it
opened
too
up,
much.
I thought,
let's. I tell you what, we'll just put this out here right now just to get it started, because I think the majority of the people who wanted to see it have seen it, but we're still going to throw the warning up. There you got it. It doesn't get much louder and more obvious than that.
Kano yells about egg rolls.
Yes, he does, and it was great.
See, that was one of the things, is that
roll.
Kano was such a character in this, and at least as far as the character moments, Kano was entertaining. But the thing is that you're going to have, I mean, I know, all three of us here know that we've got friend Fenrir, we've got Lord Thoth, the master of the arcana of all of these things that he's read and played and immersed himself in. As an adaptation, I know this is probably, it eats at their core or something like that. And the story was weak. The story could have been so much more, but it could have, I think, one of two things. Either that was not important to the creators because, and I sort of expected this because I did not know what I was going to see via the trailer. So the fact that this is a setup for what seems to be a Mortal Kombat cinematic universe,
yeah, they definitely want a
works
franchise.
in that, even if it's not as strong as it could be, it works in that vein. But everything about what everybody who's played every single game, everybody who's followed the minutia of it, they broke several things that could have really brought them into, and these would have been your hardcore geeks bringing in more of the normies and saying, oh, you gotta see this thing. Oh, it is so much. I can't believe I saw exactly what I wanted. I mean, that's really what you get out of the Snyder cut. All of the problems with that movie doesn't matter because the emotional barriers were crossed over, and the Snyderverse, every one of the geeks who are so into the Snyder universe was selling it. The emotions of it and caring about it and wanting it so much. And I would say, but there are these one things that say, it doesn't matter. It was cool. It was, did you, it made me feel.
Yeah. I'm very much in the same camp with Man of War here, where he says that he enjoyed the stupidity for what it was. Although I haven't forgotten it, but I had fun. I don't feel like I wasted my money at the theater, which was cool.
You
and we
connected with your emotions on it, didn't you?
And we have got a new guest, a first-time guest for the panel, that 70s rock fan. How are you, my brother?
Hello. I am splendid. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Drum solo.
Thank you for inviting me on. That's very good of you. I have to say that
you bet.
I haven't seen Mortal Kombat, but I do love the sound of my own voice. So I thought I was...
He does love them dulcet tones.
Indeed. So what you were just talking about there was quite interesting because I consider myself a Mortal Kombat normie. Never played the game. Not into fighting games. I'm an RPG guy. So I was keen to watch it because of the trailer, but now, I'm hearing a lot of different things. So I'm prepared to be convinced either way.
Fair enough.
That is a good
do
way
you
to be.
enjoy fighting movies in general?
Oh, I love fighting and action movies, just not the games.
I think you'll like it.
Did you see the or even the first of the Mortal Kombat movies?
Yes, I did back in the day. And I like that. See this, I love the movies. I love kick-ass action. I don't know the lore, so I'm therefore not going to be offended by, bits and pieces here and there that may not, that may break that lore. Although I've heard, of course, that there is some major breakage there. So having heard that kind of colors my opinion a little bit too. But yeah, I mean, I may well enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you see. I played the games similar to Draco, right? Like when they first came out, I think I might have played up to maybe the third one on console, and enjoyed them for what they were. I was never really good at those games. So.
Me neither. That's why I don't play them. I'm shit at them, to put it politely.
Yeah, so, from a lore point of view, I'm not steeped in the lore of Mortal Kombat in any way, shape, or form. For me, it was a good, brutal fighting movie. And I liked that.
Well, I like that. Yeah, and it sounds like it's something I would still enjoy. I would enjoy, yes. So I probably will watch it. I may visit Tortuga. I don't know. But,
Yeah, well, you guys got a little bit of a different, because you're over in the UK, right? So.
Oh no, I'm in British Columbia, sir.
Oh, you're in BC. Okay.
Don't be fooled by my splendid accent. I'm a Canadian.
Well, you fooled me.
No. Well, yeah, I'm born and raised in Scotland, but live in Canada now.
Okay, so you've got the same streaming.
Yeah.
That we do in the States, then. So HBO Max for you, if you want to see it there.
Yeah, and I don't subscribe to HBO Max, so I'm not sure I ever will, given some of the shenanigans.
With that. I understand that entirely.
Yeah. I'm
Fair
not a
enough.
shenanigans guy.
Well, I'm sure there are other ways
Yeah.
to see the movie if you can't go to a
So
theater.
how does it stand up against the original movies, particularly the first original movie, I would say?
That's a good question. And I would say I liked the fighting and the action better.
Yeah.
But it's fair to say that the story wasn't as cohesive.
Yeah.
And, for me, I don't know that I care that the story be all that great in a movie like this. Similar to Godzilla versus Kong. I don't care that the story's all that good. I want to see big monsters.
That's right. And I did see that, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. The fact the humans were annoying. I wish they could have just excluded most of the humans. The action is what I've been doing. So I may well watch it, because quite frankly, I don't care about story. I just want to see people getting cut in half.
Oh, you do get to see that in this game.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Suits me.
Nothing woke about that.
So Robert in the chat was asking, do I wear kilts? I have my own kilt that I purchased many years ago. Best investment I ever made. Because every time you go to a wedding or an event, you have to wear one. It pays off the cost of them, and they're quite expensive over the years. And they're remarkably comfortable.
Jaffo
Do
says
you have like your own tartan too? If you've got the kilt?
Yes, indeed. Our family has our own tartan and all that stuff. We got all our stuff.
It quite keeps you cool.
Yeah, I like
bloody fucking marvelous.
Fucking great. Yeah,
This comment
There's a Piper Dune.
Oh, it's glorious.
I gotta agree with Jaffo. The CGI was good in this. Kung Lao's razor hat looked like a real razor hat sawing her in half. It was good.
That's right. And as long as there's a lot of that, then I'm fine.
Yeah. Can't we have a coherent story and monsters? Now, you asked for too much, Dildo.
Yeah,
come on.
That's right. Dildo asks for the impossible.
I'd like both of them too. The thing is that lots of years of lots of movies that have just been like, well, okay, it's a popcorn flick. It's a popcorn flick. I might not see it that much. I might not even buy the video when it comes out. But knowing that is half of the battle. G.I. Joe.
Indeed. Well, exactly.
So now, There definitely are other ways to see this content, though. You know, it's doing things like this.
Indeed. Sail the high seas with Captain Pugwash and seaman stains.
Something that I wanted to talk about beyond just kind of like how we feel about the movie in general, but something that I noticed that I really keyed in on was this thing got demolished by Godzilla Kong. When we look at it from a box office point of view on an opening weekend. Okay, so it's going to roll into, it looks like latest predictions now is it's going to check in just under 20 million. Now, unlike Godzilla, it does have competition this week, which was the Japanese anime Monster Hunter, which also is going to roll in at just under 20 million. But even between the two of them, they're not hitting what Godzilla hit on its opening weekend, which was just short of 50 million.
So is that a brand recognition thing? What do you think?
I don't know. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up and ask the crew, see what you guys think about why it's coming in so much lower than what we got from Godzilla. So I mean, not that 20 million is an awful number, but it's certainly not blockbuster number by any stretch, right?
So remind me, what are the respective ratings? Was it PG for Godzilla Kong and R for Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was rated R. And
yeah. So there's a difference there immediately. I mean, that is a difference.
Shellback, thank you. I meant Demon Slayer. That my mistake. You can always count on the chat.
Let's have a crossover. Monster Slayer.
Well, I need the chat. I don't know nearly that much, but Jake D, why don't you know more? Well, the chat's there.
That's right. Why we have the chat. Yeah, and Brightest Day also fixed me up there. Yeah, I guess I meant Demon Slayer.
They're merciless. Yeah, I think that makes a difference.
Resource.
Yeah, it makes a difference immediately because R-rated, you are losing a chunk of the audience. Godzilla Kong is it's going to bring in 8, 9, 10-year-old kids.
True. I know my 12-year-old just fucking loves Godzilla movies.
Yeah. and I'm not sure how. I mean, as I say, I never played the game because, like you, Jake, I'm not so good at fighting games, perhaps. But I know the game was massively popular, but could it be seen as a more minority market than Godzilla and Kong, which have been around for decades? Huge audience recognition globally.
I want to reinforce that too, because there's something that I would want to check, and maybe this is something that we can ask Matt from Foulbow Productions, because he mentioned in a previous stream that at least as far as top IPs of all time, he listed Mortal Kombat as fitting in the top 25 percentile. Top 25. The top 1 through 25 IPs. And without doing a very deep dive on Google, I wasn't able to find a good resource on that. I'd like to know, because that would at least speak to its reach. The R rating would cut off a significant portion of your popular viewership, but if it's a top IP, it's got fan base out there. It doesn't require as much bringing in outsiders.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, from a video game franchise IP, I have no doubt that that's a true statement. I mean, when you think about it, as far as video game IPs and franchises go, I mean, what's possibly going to be pulling more? I mean, Mortal Kombat's been around, since I was I don't even know. I mean, pretty young. I remember playing the first one in arcades, and I was not a particularly old young man when that happened. I might not even have been a teenager yet. I don't remember.
The facial hair hadn't fully grown in yet.
It still hasn't, so you know.
Some of it's starting to grow out now.
To
Yeah.
be honest.
The more that appears on the chin, the less there is on the top of the head.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been around for ages, and I mean, what have they made? 12, 13 of them now, something in that neighborhood. You know, so what's going to be more of them? You probably got your Final Fantasies, you got your Marios, your Sonics. You know, Witcher is going to be in there as far as a franchise on the game. I mean, big name game franchises. There's not that many, really. Halo, Mass Effect, stuff like that.
Yeah, not all of which some of which have not been made into movies yet, and may well indeed never translate into movies, of course. But yeah, I mean, your stuff that's really big in the, you know, is the Sonics and the Marios, like you mentioned. I mean, they're going to go on forever, gaming wise. I think there's always going to be a market for those. But then you look at The Witcher, that's an R-rated game, in effect.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that again,
those Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, you got to give them fair play for attempting initially with the first movies and then this one to actually make a movie out of what is basically a fighting game. You know, I mean, how much plot can there really be? And I've never played it, so forgive me for speaking out of turn. I know there's plenty of people in the chat have probably played it, but you know how much
it has spread. It has spread further than that because not only did it make the games, it made the 2 movies, and then there was direct-to-video, and then there was a series, and then they continued to make games even after that.
With Jeri Ryan as Sonya Blade in the series.
Yeah,
I guess it did 2 seasons. They did of that one. So yeah, so I mean, they've tried to.
They've built some lore around it. Yeah, they built.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a bit of a normie on this particular IP, but it's not a lore that I ever cared to get into. It's a fighting game. I kill people and I throw them around and I beat them up. You know, how much lore do I need?
That's right. Two people meet in a ring and kick the shit out of each other.
And sometimes kill each other, you know.
Yeah.
Picking spines out.
Yeah, but
Kano wins.
Yeah, being R-rated immediately does put a limit on it. I mean, it's very rare for an R-rated movie to make. I mean, you're probably talking 400 million is a fantastic target for an R-rated movie. I know some like Joker's done $1 billion, but
Joker is. I mean, Joker. There may never be another Joker.
No, that was very unique. And you've got to look at that and wonder why that R-rated movie, Joker, made $1 billion, whereas Mortal Kombat may get nowhere near that. I mean, nothing like that kind of business. Yeah. And yet both names are equally well known, I would have thought, to genre people like ourselves.
Rajesh makes a very good point. It had more plot than I don't know if he means Star Trek Discovery or if he means Star Wars and Star Trek Discovery.
Somewhere in the middle.
It could apply to either one. You know, the rules of the universe certainly made more sense than they did in the Disney tragedy.
Yeah. I've actually just called up the list of highest grossing R-rated films, and I gotta give Shellback props. Demon Slayer, 454 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Isn't it now the top grossing Japanese movie of all time now, or something like that?
Could well be.
If it's not, it's got to be damn close.
It's the first, Japanese and first anime film to reach 400 million worldwide box office. So highest grossing.
Also the same. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sir.
I'm bringing up a supposition. Didn't this premiere also in China and did very well there, or am I thinking about something else?
You're thinking of Demon? Are you talking about Demon Slayer here?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it did do pretty good in China, if I remember correctly. I'd have to double check, but that sounds right.
The market that everybody's running after.
Yeah. Brightest Day. So, okay, if you're cutting off a portion of the audience with the rating and the story doesn't matter much because it's a fighting game, why alienate the already small audience by not sticking to the lore that's already there? So, I mean, what I would say to that, and it's a fair question, right? I mean, absolutely fair question. So the hardcore people who know the lore of Mortal Kombat it's not a large group of people. I would hazard a guess that it's probably, in terms of people who really know the lore, if it's more than I mean, I can't believe it's more than 1 million people. It's probably less than a couple 100,000.
I mean, if we're talking about
really, you go ahead.
If we're talking about people who are like the diehard Mortal Kombat guys who know this lore inside and out, we're probably talking about numbers that rival certain Marvel comics at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Thoth is going to be one of those guys. He knows this shit, right? I mean, we all know that about Thoth. Like anything like this, that guy knows every comma and period and arcane reference.
And where I would want to go with that is, if we actually did have Thoth here, or if we did have, if we had anybody, if any of our group were members who actually knew all of the intricate details, how many other people do they get to actually speak on the same level with, or are they tend to be the 1 or 2 people in a large group that school everyone else? And it shows just how small the solid fans are, the knowledgeable of the base fans. I mean, you've got a lot of people who are into D&D. The internet has allowed them to connect and meet, so we know there's a lot of them out there. You know, there's a lot of there were a lot of Star Wars. There were a lot of Star Trek. And the thing is that all of them out there collect together, and you can get huge groups of them talking together. Comparatively, I would wonder, if I were to ask Thoth this question, if he showed up, were you able to talk on the same level as you're talking to us now about Mortal Kombat with many people of your level of knowledge?
I don't think there's that many.
I didn't want to drop a mic.
When it comes to Mortal Kombat, I just don't think there's that many of them. So all they really need to appeal to make a decent amount of money on the movie, I think, is guys like that 70s rock fan and I. We're open to going to see a movie like this, like fighting movies. I like the fact that it's rated R. I like the fact that Kano's ripping fucking hearts out and saying Kano wins. I like the fact that Kung Lao razor saws in half some bitch that I didn't know. Okay? And I like that, that Goro is in it, right? So like, for somebody who's familiar with the property, they kind of checked all the boxes. And I know that hardcore fans were particularly pissed that Johnny Cage isn't in this movie. Obviously, he's going to be in the second one, though. We know that.
Apparently, if you watch it all the way through, you will know that.
That's a risky proposition, though, because if the movie fails, then there isn't necessarily going to be a second one.
True.
And they didn't try very hard.
A gamble. That's a gamble.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's a gamble because, if they put that character in, and even I know who that character is, maybe that just pushes it over the top into the, 200-300 million. You never know.
Yeah, and dude, Rajesh, this is actually a really
I like that idea.
cool fucking idea.
It's a brilliant idea. And you know what? That isn't so far-fetched as an idea. I'm sure the technology could be done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it could definitely be done. Those things are Bluetooth. You put a box down in the theater. You could make that happen.
Interactive game fighting movie, yeah. It's going to happen, and in virtual reality one day, I'm sure.
For the high punch, press 1.
How you would get 2,000 people doing that, I don't know, but you know, it could be done.
You could just like have people vote on it.
Yeah, that's boring.
And Robert, fair call out here, and because I've seen the talk about the reason why he wasn't in it. And you know, they made this new original character, the Cole young guy, and he was you know, ultimately you find out he's a descendant of Scorpion, right? And but you know what else? What other boxes I got checked in this movie? Badass fights between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. More than one. Okay,
you've given away the outcome of the first fight now.
You get pre Sub-Zero, pre Scorpion, which is an excellent fight. And then you get full on Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Oh,
it's good.
That's still my favorite movie. We saw in the trailer. He takes the blood, he turns into a dagger and just stabs him. It's like,
that looked good in the trailer.
God, it was good.
That looked good.
That's the moment that this thing sold. That is one of the vignettes, the action set pieces. That's the reason to see this fucking movie.
And I get Robert's point, though. I mean, it's the reason why things are left out. It's the things the actors say, even in this comparatively non-woke movie compared to other movies these days. It's still enough to make me, do I really want to reward them for that behavior? So that's another factor.
That's fair. And you know what I would say is, despite that reason having been stated about a month ago, none of that shit was in the movie.
Okay.
None of it. It was just fighting.
Sounds good. But we've just touched on the age-old question that's always afflicted movies, genre movies particularly, which is, do they go for a strategy which maximizes the input from the hardcore fans in terms of money return, or do they try and abandon some of that and go for the wider audience and then necessarily dilute the IP and dilute the lore? Now, before they used to do it for economic reasons. You know, if we take this out and make it for a wider audience, we'll get more bums on seats, we'll make more money. Now they're doing it for woke reasons. Often.
That's fair. It's a fair call out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Joker, I mean, and all the lore behind Joker and all the fanatical DC and Batman fandom that may say, well, I didn't like that portrayal of Joker. I didn't like any of the origin. I didn't like what he was, what he became. It doesn't sit well with much of the established lore. But it did $1 billion. So somebody liked it. It attracted somebody, even though it was different. Maybe it was better different in this case. That's open for debate.
So to get into Shellback's comment there, when those trailers were first coming out for it, I didn't even notice the lack of Johnny Cage because, like I said, hey, I'm a Sub-Zero guy. That's my main guy. That's the guy I always go to if I play Mortal Kombat. And yeah, I did not even notice Johnny Cage was missing for when I first saw those trailers. I noticed it once I heard all the commotion in the audience of the major fan base the character has. Everyone saying, "Where's Johnny?" Like, yeah, after that I noticed it. But for my own viewing, like I didn't even, if no one had said anything about it, I would have never noticed it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm in the same camp to an extent, right? So I mean, I was always a Scorpion guy. Get over here, right? Like that was, I loved it. That's who I loved playing, man. He was my favorite. And I liked Jax too, because he was big and fucking huge. I always liked him. And you know, I never really liked Sonya, and you know, Johnny was a little prissy boy. I didn't give a shit about Johnny, right?
I liked him in the movie best.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
he the first movie, yeah, he was absolutely worth watching and a good character there. And so, but I mean, Johnny Cage isn't Mortal Kombat to me. And you know, so I think that I'm the who they're aiming for the most part for this movie from a demographic point of view.
It looks like it, yeah, it does.
But
I mean, I get brightest days
dismiss,
points.
Yeah,
Sorry,
like
Dragon.
brightest day bringing up. You're probably headed in the same direction that I was going. That they have gone far enough away from their core that they're sacrificing some of the stronger bits of the lore. They're sacrificing some of the little things that would make people, that would satisfy. It's like not having at least Johnny Cage show up. I mean, why Johnny Cage isn't in it? That's a good question. That is the question. But why don't you have other things? Why don't you have the whole roster of the original game or something like that? Somehow showed up or somehow represented, and that ties it in. That at least brings in, well, we can't have this because we're telling the story about this group and this is how we're anchoring it. But what I'm doing right now is supposing, and that's going to get into assuming, and
Indeed.
I could and we'll eventually get to the point of writing a better story than the story that we're going to get, and that's always what doesn't satisfy when we're trying to justify the movie that is rather than the movie we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. And you know, I don't think that this is on you, Brightest Day. I mean, I see where you're going with your thoughts there, but it's, I mean, I guess it's definitely a problem. We heard about why there was no Johnny Cage. I don't disagree with you. But we did get him teased for the next movie. And the statements that they made about that were fucking dumb. They should have just shut their mouths and said, watch the movie. You know,
They are pretty dumb. They are dumb. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they could have just left it at the we have a big enough cast. We want to focus on these characters now, but we'll leave the door open for any future movies should that happen.
Yeah. So, and joining us, our good buddy. He's not just another red shirt. He's the red shirt. How are you, my friend?
Very good. We're doing very well. Been very tired. I think my schedule finally caught up with me. Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked this movie. I really was. Don't have any background in the games. Didn't see the first movies. But I watched it late last night, and I like the fact that the story held together. I know I mentioned asking to compare this to Bloodsport, you know, when doing a discussion without doing spoilers, and I would say I stumbled onto something there because after watching it, I'd say, yeah, it's got a little bit better. It's got a little bit better story, hangs together. It has characters I cared about very quickly, which is my deal breaker if I don't care about anybody in a story. And the fights were incredibly done. And so I thought, you know, they actually got something here, because they didn't sacrifice the story just to get to the fights, which is the impression I got of Godzilla versus Kong. I hated the story in that. Thought the two monsters were pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's, you know, at the same time, though, I mean, we've got a couple guys in the chat who are hardcore lore fans of this game. And what I'm hearing, I think, from the panel, that we have heard and understand the complaints of people who are hardcore fans of the lore, and those of us who were not that, you know, we just sort of enjoyed a really kick-ass action movie. I mean, the director promised us it would be the best fights ever put on screen. I don't know if he met that bar, but they were pretty fucking good.
They were.
Yeah, but I get what Brightest is saying, and there are those of us mainly in this community that even if we're not that familiar or close to Mortal Kombat, we're sensitive to those issues. And much as I want to see a kick-ass action fight movie, I go, well, I've heard that they've done this. Does that make me less inclined to see it? So there's probably a percentage of the audience in that position.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sensitive to what guys like British State are saying. It's like, here we go again. You know, something's had something done to it for woke reasons.
So let's ask this question though. So at the end of the movie, they tell you Johnny Cage is coming. All right, because Cole is going to go specifically find Johnny Cage. That's who they tell you he's after. So if the director had just shut his fucking mouth about what he said about why Johnny Cage isn't in the movie, does the audience take this completely differently? If instead of, when asked about Johnny Cage, if his response had simply been, I promise you I've made a good movie, make sure you watch all the way to the end.
Yes.
Do you think we'd be having a different reaction from the fan base?
We would, and if he'd said, you have
Unless
to
I'd
watch
heard
the
anything
movie
else.
to find out. You gotta watch the movie to find out is all he needed to say. Yeah. So why they feel they have to signal something else, I don't know. Well, it could be Hollywood pressure, but
There's probably a bit of that.
yeah. Now, what really disturbs me is I think there's an Australian in the movie, isn't there? Now that's terrible.
Oh, Kano. I love Kano.
Just kidding.
Yeah, he was great.
That's disturbing.
Oh,
So that's
God.
Kano. Shows you
And
how
he's a
little I
ginger.
know. He's a
He's like-
ginger. Oh, good.
Yeah, we actually got a ginger in a movie for a change. Let's celebrate that, guys.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Just for that reason alone, I'm going to watch it. Cool.
Oh.
It's what's really happened here by the sounds of it is there's some dumb statements by director and at least one actor, and perhaps some less than perfect marketing.
You know,
So,
I'm wondering, just because of the product that I saw on the screen and seeing that in contrast to what the director had to say about why he didn't put Johnny Cage in the film when clearly he wants Johnny Cage in the next film, I'm almost left thinking that maybe he thought that's what he had to say, or maybe that was indeed kind of the reasoning behind not having him in the first film. It could be a true statement, but I mean, I really think if he had just not said that, it wouldn't have upset people.
Had he not messaged, it might not have caused damage that he even didn't understand he was doing. Because he was talking to certain people, messaging,
Yes.
platforming, instead of just being cagey. I mean,
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing. The people who want the platforming messages will call out these people and say that they're doing the thing, and that will be visible in Hollywood. Does anyone anywhere else care?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question, right? Because do you think he even knew that he was pissing people like Brightest Day off? Do you think he even knew it?
I don't. From the
Probably
point of view of another director that I seem to recall making a major faux pas to the fandom that supported his cause recently here, having something to do with
wonder who that could be.
yeah. Am I not putting fine enough a point on it?
Was a snide comment.
Very good. I like that.
Are we gonna cut to the point?
How snide was it? Was it snider than normal? Yes, I don't know why they don't, shut their mouths. Just shut their mouths.
Because I think at least as far as Snyder, I think his world is his world is smaller than that, and he's surrounded by the people that will say, well, you've got to say these things and you've got to separate yourself from these things and that like that. I don't know about this director and his world and classifying him the same way as Gary does put most of the actors into the adult pretenders when we know that there are actors who are not in that group. But the thing is that when you're a nerd in the world of Hollywood, you say the things, and you say the things that you must say in order to not get canceled because you're in the world. Or you say the things that you believe you have to say because all of your friends, all of your compatriots, all of your associates, these are the things they expect to hear.
At the cocktail parties, yes.
I mean, do you think that's what's going on here, Red Shirt? Because I have so much trouble. The movie that I saw compared to those statements, they just don't even seem to jive with each other, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's a clue. I don't think there should be any doubt in any of our minds or in the minds of anybody in the chat, given the recent history of Hollywood and what happens to people who don't say all of the right things, the approved things, or who say some of the wrong things, or they simply say something reasonable, but they're the wrong person because of preconception. And I'm thinking now of Gina Carano and Pedro, where basically they both made a reference. Gina's was fairly oblique, and it was a warning. Pedro's was on the nose, and it was a straight up indictment of people. And nothing happened to Pedro, but Gina was instantly unpersoned. They didn't just fire her; they slandered her, and they were out to. That literally to me looked like the implementation of the old Hollywood threat: "You'll never work again in this town."
Have you noticed that apparently they're backing off of that?
Mm-hmm. Well,
a little late now, sons.
Oh, it is. I think it's too late now. I think that Gina Carano would be out of her mind to go back into that snake pit and resume that role. But I think I think it might have something to do with Disney's finances and Kathleen Kennedy's position. I mean, yes, she's still there, and I mean, she's like Jockett. She can't get rid of her. But
do you need some Lotrimin and some Gold Bond, Red Shirt? I mean,
I think with her you need dynamite. I think with her they're going to need dynamite.
Scorched earth policy, no less.
Yeah,
but I heard it on good authority. She was imminently to be kicked out.
Oh, I know.
From orbit. That's the only way to be sure.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But the point is that in big stakes politics, when you're at the executive level, there's an awful lot of you got to think of it as like a Napoleonic era combat wars. There's a lot of people running around at the bottom level, and a whole lot of moves being made where up until the moment where it's a complete debacle and one side has to admit defeat. It looks as though it's business as usual to an outsider. They don't air that. It isn't always obvious to an outsider. And I think it may have I think Disney's heard the pushback because they've gotten a ton of it over that. And they are starting to back off from it in the hopes of saying, well, we'll bring her back and put our episode with Bear Grylls back up, or we'll do this or we'll do that. I think it's too little, too late.
Oh yeah.
But I think they're responding to the backlash because they can't afford to ignore it.
I think putting
Well,
a Bear
her
Grylls
brand is
episode
on the
back up-
rise.
Yeah.
Her brand is on the
is.
rise, so she's very visible, and it's continuing to look bad on them because they have not been able to shut her down, shut her out, and cancel her completely.
They have not. We are joined by the masked man himself, Vigilante Williamson.
Vigilante Wednesday here on another episode.
And I think
Howling
we-
about entertainment. Hey,
We need to make sure the Vigilante Williamson lore is adhered to. No one's going to mess with that.
Well, that's a lore that yeah. That's nobody fucks with the lore behind
That's
Vigilante Williamson.
I don't even know what the hell the lore is. That sucks.
You get to make it up as you go. It
Lord,
works
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
That's right.
This is
Wait a minute. I've got a great original origin for you. You can be a supervillain at the center of the earth.
I think that's taken.
Yeah.
It's
All
been
right.
done.
Yeah.
We'll workshop this.
He was found living in a van by the Detroit River.
No, I do a little bit better than that.
wrong direction, wrong direction.
If SJWs wrote my origin, that absolutely would be it. We know that for a fact.
Yes,
We
it
know
would.
Somewhere in between.
And do
You
you
know,
enjoy
down by the
scissoring?
He found his mask outside his van down by the river and was suddenly empowered with the gift of gab.
It fell from the sky.
Nah. To quote Joker, if I'm supposed to have an origin story, I'd prefer it be multiple choice. So we'll go with that.
Oh,
We'll go with that. But how's everybody doing?
oh, great, sir. How are you?
Excellent.
Doing well.
That's good. That's good, man. So I kind of missed a little bit because I was on it. Shout out to Jed. He just invited me on the stream, so I just I'll just do that and then do this. So,
All right. Well, we are glad to have you, my friend.
what were we talking about? Because I didn't know if we were talking about Kathleen Kennedy or something else.
Well, we did mention Jokic. That's true. Kathleen Kennedy and Jokic.
Oh, geez.
I'm just going to go scratch my Kathleen. Hang on a second.
So I'm curious, V.
I don't think you need to name that.
You've
I'm sorry.
seen Mortal Kombat, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you know all the bullshit that the idiot director was saying leading up to the release of the film.
Talking about the Johnny Cage thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do his statements in the movie you saw even seem like they exist in the same universe?
Here's what, and to be fair, when he walked it back, he was trying to say that, because here's what I think happened. First off, the movie itself did not have the level of organization to be able to pull off an SJW move. Like it didn't, there was no way they thought that deeply, because I don't think that much thought was about anything. Like, okay, we have cool fight scenes. That's all we got. But that's neither here nor there, because I mean, there's, depending on how you feel about the movie is one thing. But he tried to walk it back and almost say something, and I'm paraphrasing along the lines like, there was a long press docket, and I answered the questions that were answered. So that made it seem like, hey, I was talking to a woke publicist or woke publication or whatever, so I gave them a woke ass answer just to satisfy them not thinking about the consequences, which is not an excuse or whatever. But like, man, I don't think they didn't have the room for Johnny Cage. They didn't know what they were doing in the movie as far as anything. So it's not like they had to make this stand against the white patriarchy by getting rid of Johnny Cage. It's like, no, they can barely get this damn thing together. If they didn't saw people in half and shit, this wouldn't even be even thought of as a good movie. It would be a disaster. But they had enough cool scenes to at least keep it from complete disaster.
So you liked the sawing in half?
Yeah, I liked a lot of the cool fight scenes. I thought it was poorly written, poorly acted, and poorly, the set was good. The set and some of the costumes were pretty good. But there's a lot of and I found out the budget wasn't $100 million. Thank God, because I'm like, there's no way it's $100 million. It was apparently 60. It felt like it was a low budget film in a way. But it was entertaining. It was definitely.
But it had one thing going for it, from my point of view, which I didn't expect. I expected it to be let's just bring a whole bunch of characters together and have them fight. from what I'd been hearing, that was pretty much what I expected. What I didn't expect was it would start with a flashback, establish two characters, and create a revenge motive for one of them that is beautifully culminated at the end of the film. Do you remember this face? And that was an amazing fight scene. But for me, it was also, you wrapped it up. You actually didn't leave the revolver on the mantelpiece. You established this, and then you finished this. And we were talking, Jake, I know I mentioned Bloodsport. Bloodsport doesn't really have that for Frank Dukes. That there isn't even that much storytelling there. And that's a fun movie. I think this, and I am sympathetic to everybody that knows the lore of Mortal Kombat to be saying, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. I mean, why? They didn't have to make those changes to make it a good movie. Okay, but what we did get from the point of view of this normie when it comes to Mortal Kombat is we got a movie based on a video game that had more to it than I expected going in. And there were a couple of fist punching the air moments for me where I'm going, this is based on a video game I never even saw. But I am into this. And I think that's going to help the movie with people who aren't huge fans of Mortal Kombat. And I have a feeling there's quite a few of them.
So I'm not a huge fan. Oh, go ahead.
Just to kind of bounce off what you were saying there. Does this make you want to go check out more of that lore? Do you want to go check out the actual games now?
I want to go back and watch the previous movies at least, for sure. What gaming skills I have and experience I have are so old and dated that I wouldn't even know how to go about looking into this game.
Fair enough.
But I know there's other movies that have people have said were pretty good. So that's the next checkbox on my list, is to go find out what other Mortal Kombat movies I can find and watch them.
So I have a kind of I don't know if it's a counterpoint, but like, I am not a huge fan of the lore. Like, I know a little bit about the lore. I know like a cursory amount, and I played the games when I was younger, the first 3 games, so I know a lot of characters were, but I didn't know like the extended lore. Because hell, in the the original fighting games, the lore is only slightly relevant. You know what I mean? You need a little bit, but it's not like this deep thing. The comic books and everything else, shows and future games with more cutscenes have kind of fleshed it out. But like back then, you didn't really need to know. You knew Sub-Zero and Scorpion didn't like each other, and then they had one game that kind of explained it. But that was it. Oh, what's that? Oh. But I still had issues with the movie because of like filmmaking stuff. It just felt there was just the stretches of nothing happening, and the plot just was so like even what you said about the Scorpion thing, it almost felt like they established something, they finished it, but the middle, that like Scorpion's not really referenced. I mean, they have Cole, which is Scorpion's, ancestor or whatever, and he sucks as a character. I felt there was a lot of clunkiness and a lot of just it was a harder watch than I thought it would be, because I thought it would be a little bit more bang, 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 bang. And there was just a gap where nothing happened and nothing really moved. That was my issue. It didn't have anything to do with the lore itself. But funnily enough, my brother saw a movie, and he said the girl he saw it with, he said the girl he saw it with liked it, and he didn't. And he's like me. He's not extended deep with the lore. It's just like, I don't know. To me, it was like a little bit slightly lackluster. It was still good enough for this era, but it was slightly lackluster. But it's interesting that like I said, my whoever my brother was talking to, like they, normies seem to just like, oh yeah, it's cool. Do you? And I guess since everyone's silent, I have a kind of another thought as I ramble. Mando Merc yesterday said that there's something about the quality on Brave and the Bold on my channel. You can check it out. But he said something like the quality, like we're being engineered to accept lesser quality stuff, where the quality is brought down and brought down and brought down. So if you get a little bit of a bone, you're like, oh my God, this is great. Because everything has gotten worse and worse and worse. So that's another thing that I can't help but to think in my own head is there's a little bit of that. So that's my ramble. That's my
that's
thoughts.
a fair thought, man. So, man, did you see it on HBO Max or in the theaters, V-Dub?
I saw it in theaters, and I
Okay,
enjoyed it, but I still saw the flaws. Richard, did you see it in theaters?
No, I watched it late last night on HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah, I went on HBO Max as well.
What did you think of it, Ironcaster?
I still like the original one from like '95 best. That's the one I'm going to be going back to over and over. But this one, I'll probably go to that. I'll go with the original '95. Then I'll probably put this one just because it's got some good CGI. There's some good battles. I fucking love Kano in this.
Kano was great. Kano was great. Kano was definitely good.
And then of course Armageddon after that. It's like. Then again, maybe I should rewatch that.
A movie so bad you don't even remember the name correctly.
Yes, Annihilation. Armageddon was with Ben Affleck and
Armageddon was a disaster. A literal disaster.
So I suppose it would be good to point out for anyone who does want to go check us check us in the older games on GOG.com. It's put together by CD Projekt Red as another digital game store. You can buy the Mortal Kombat 1, but you can buy the first 4 Mortal Kombat movie or games for $3 to combined.
All of them for $3?
1, 2, 3, and 4.
My God!
Wow!
How do they stand up compared to today's graphics in games? I mean, do they still playable? Are they still fun?
Well, I was going to say a lot of games, a lot of people are cool with lesser graphics or retro graphics. You know what I mean? Because I like a lot of games that Among Us doesn't have, this high F graphical style. It's a cartoony style that's still popular. So I don't know if you have good mechanics, people love it. But as the chat and everyone has noticed, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser has arrived.
We have got the 34th flavor. What's up, buddy?
I hope he's brought the snacks for all of us. Have you got the snacks, man? We need the snacks.
Dude, I already had 2 burgers, and I also had what else? I had tater tots as well. Oh, dude, those tots were nice tots. Yeah, dude, these tots. I'll tell you about these tots.
You've broken the monthly burger allowance already. You're only supposed to eat one a month.
Hail, Nick Weiser.
Wait, I thought we were allowed
Richard.
like 2 burgers and 1 steak. Do I have that wrong?
Well, then I have violated that.
I'm not sure it's that much, Jake D.
Oh, TMF, man. He wants to know if we think that the new Captain America costume is the dumbest thing since tits on a bull, or is he just thinking of golf balls and a blind man?
You know what? Hey, I thought A-Train was nice and the boys. It's cool that they're paying homage to his costume. It's A-Train with wings, right? That's the concept.
Oh, it totally is A-Train with wings. It's totally A-Train with wings. Oh, man. What's up, 70s rock fan? Nice to see you on here.
I'm good, man. It's good to see you too, buddy.
Excellent. But yeah.
Oh, man. So before we switch over. Yes, go ahead, Richard.
Actually, because I had one more question I wanted to ask and a point I wanted to make about Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
If to everybody who really watched this film, paid attention to credits and has seen, knows about it, here's the question. Was this all CGI or was there any live action?
Combination.
I'm gonna say
all CGI.
I'm gonna say 60-65% CG with 40-45 non-CG.
Very first scene where she's working in the garden, he's going to get water. The boy, the elder son, is sent into the house because the baby's crying. Live action or CGI?
A mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that looked like live action to me.
It looked like live action in sets.
Yeah, but my point is, I'm having trouble being able. Obviously, the monster with the giant with 4 arms.
Goro.
I'm pretty sure that was CGI.
Yeah, it's all CG.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Oh, undefeatably.
Even I think when they were
So.
frozen, that was CG. I don't even think they did like a like sometimes they'll do like cast and stuff like that. But no, I think that was just pure CG.
But I guess then the question I want to ask is, did you see the CGI in the Uncanny Valley much? Or was it better than that?
I think overall the CG in this looked very good.
I thought Goro looked like an extra from the World of Warcraft movie.
There were it was good in parts. There are parts that are kind of like, but you know what? That's CG in general. With CG, you got to meet it half. Okay, how about this? Here's what I will say: Godzilla versus Kong CG to me was far superior.
Yeah, agreed. Oh,
I'll give you
man,
that.
that was some of the best.
Because that was good.
I think they knew that they had to deliver on that one, especially because that's two giant monsters.
And I mean, I bought it when I was in that world. I bought that this was. I mean, obviously not really happened, but relative to the world, and I never got taken out by the CG in that movie. And there were a couple little things that, even the scene, even a couple scenes I like when Liu Kang had that dragon, and you're like, okay, it doesn't look like it looks like it's in a different world than the world they're in. So yeah,
but there are two different problems in CGI. Monsters are one thing. The look on a person's face, as we were all talking about with when Luke Skywalker made his brief appearance at the end of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about, if this was CGI, why didn't they do a deep fake? Because everybody looked at that and went, dude, man, that dude doesn't look normal. The point I'm getting at is if there was just one scene of CGI in this film that involved in animating a human face and expression, that you didn't immediately go, they should have spent more money on the CGI. I think this is the first movie I've ever seen where they managed to pull off a human being animated by a computer that wasn't in the Uncanny Valley. So I'm going to give them credit for that. That impresses me, especially when I'm hearing this movie was made for $60 million.
Yeah. And you know who I
really
thought about?
that low?
Yeah, only 60 million.
Wow.
And the character I thought about is Melina, because
Man.
her face probably did take some CG, and I would not have known it. When I think about it, I'm like, you know what? That was probably mostly CG with her, and it looked pretty good. So yeah, I will give you that. And by the way, she's the one with the mouth, the teeth, and I can't imagine that wasn't all CG.
Oh no!
And that was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Then I'm gonna do a take here and say that this may turn out to be a movie that gets talked about for years to come because it hit a milestone in CGI, which is usually milestones that have usually been reached by a little company called Pixar Entertainment.
Yep. Yeah. It's fair observation, man.
Yeah, very unique observation.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're not. You've got scenes where you've got Cole fighting Goro, for example, right? There's a lot of CG in there, but you've also got Cole's face dealing in with it, and it looked sharp. When I saw it on the big screen, it looked good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and human faces are the final frontier for CGI. They're the hardest thing to do.
Exactly.
Thousands of muscular interactions. It's very difficult to get the subtlety of a human response to anything.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, look what we got here. You've got his head. You got CG all below that. You got his hand. And you got him coming at Goro. And we've got a real background, I think, with the tree. And it's almost seamless.
Yeah, you're right about that. I never even think. Well, you just looking at this still, that is pretty good CG. Because his suit was all funky.
Can I
literal
mention
plot armor.
something?
Yeah.
Dude, the CG in this movie, so you're telling me they spent only 60-something million, and yet it looks vastly superior to Wonder Woman 1984,
Well,
which they
what's
spent
right?
supposedly spent millions more, but it looks like Mortal Kombat is the one that actually spent more money than Wonder Woman did.
They didn't do CGI in Wonder Woman 84. They just had a green screen and they told Gal Gadot to run on the spot in front of it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the budget is no guarantee of quality.
Oh, God, yeah. Hey,
Here's
that's
what I want to say another thing just about Mortal Kombat, because I know we're going to move on to A-Train, A-Train and the Winter Soldier.
We are going to move on to A-Train at some point, yes.
But I one of the things that I'm right on the edge on disliking it and liking it. But one of the things that made me like, yeah, I do like it with criticism is there may be because I felt like the writer, the director, there's a lot of first timers doing this stuff.
Oh, it's because there is.
But there was you can tell this group of people really wanted to do the best thing they possibly could.
Yeah.
They maxed out their talent level to create this. I think that's why we have good CG, because they were like, I want this to be good CG, so I'm going to put in the extra work. So I got to give them credit for that.
You got a real simple effect shot here. Looks great.
Yeah,
it does look good.
Didn't they both have the same writer?
Yes, unfortunately they did. I can't remember his name.
You wouldn't think it.
He has to get ran out of Hollywood, man. He's
not
good
also
at
writing Shang-Chi.
He's writing Shang. Yeah, because we covered it yesterday. I forgot his name.
No,
he's an awful writer. Yeah,
he's writing
Dave
Expendables.
Callahan.
And he what did he write that was terrible? That was old. That, it was also terrible. Something. He's not a good writer. He's not. He
wrote something.
Oh, Doom.
He wrote Doom. So this guy has been bad for over a decade. 2 decades of terrible.
That's lovely.
But he's been failing up, and he was able to. He wasn't the initial writer, and that's been reported as well that there was a different script for this, and then he came in. Yeah, there's some really, when you break it down to how realistic the CG. But you know what? This may be a mix between CG and practical. I think the stuff on his face. I think there's some practical stuff on his face and on his body.
Hey, V-Dub, I hate to break it to you. That's a mustache. I
was referring to the blood, but sure, yeah, the mustache.
How much do you think the CGI budget for the mustache was?
Less than it was for
less than Cavill.
Yes, Henry Cavill, because they have CG mustache.
They just found a caterpillar and said, "Just put that on your top lip and leave it there."
Or they use the Groucho Marx technique and they just grease pencil.
I heard Steve Harvey for the mustache double.
Oh, man. He looks like Steve Harvey's son or nephew. Yeah, he
does.
He does. Yeah.
But you know what? That's another good shot. I think that I think a lot of the blood was a mix between CG and practical, because there was definitely blood spatters and stuff like that. So yeah. You gotta give them, there's a lot of criticism to be had, but I definitely want to see what they do next. And that's more than I can say for Star Wars even. So
yeah, right.
Oh God. Holy cow, yes.
Liu Kang's dragon here, man. This was all right.
Yeah,
this was all right.
It was cool to see those classic fatalities.
Oh, I know. How about when Liu Kang did his kick thing, dude?
Yeah, he did.
That was great. Oh,
I mean, they really.
Oh, that was awesome. No, they really were trying to pay respects to the source material, which once again I respect.
I mean, I'm hearing there is fan service in there for all that. Some things were left out. I'm hearing there is fan service.
I think they set up for Johnny Cage to be a sequel, which he better be, because if they don't, I might actually straight up riot.
Yeah,
and I will get away with the riot.
They have sold that to where he has to be in the next movie. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And if they can keep the same technical team together, then and maybe they can get a bigger budget. You never know what might
bigger, but maybe switch the director out or the writer. Yeah. Definitely, you have to switch the writer out if you want.
I don't think they're going to get
lightning won't strike twice.
And fire the casting director.
This was an underrated fatality in this movie, I think. Right here.
Yeah. Oh man.
How do you like your CG on that one?
That was pretty good. Only thing with that, I mean, the splash, the woke seasoning where they just added a little bit where Sonya just figures out her powers immediately, despite everyone else needed training.
She was a Mary Sue a bit. She definitely had Mary Sue elements.
And she had to be the one to beat the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she barely got hurt the entire movie. She barely got hurt, and she was the one who was not original, who had the symbol attached to her that to let her know that she was a fire. They gave it to her like later on in the movie, which that part I don't really care. But the fact that she barely had a flinch, but everyone else took quite a bit of a beating at some point.
Yeah.
Not Sonya Blade though.
She's Cole. I mean, she was more of a hero than Cole was. Cole never did anything heroic. He just got helped and carried the whole way by other characters, whether it was Scorpion or his wife or whoever. Somebody was saving him from getting his ass kicked the whole movie.
Yeah. To an extent, you're not wrong.
Oh, look at that stash.
Yeah.
Remember this face? Remember this stash?
You know who CG was not that good, at least to
Remember
me.
my teeth?
Raiden's eyes looked terrible to me. They looked so cheesy looking.
The only Raiden I acknowledge is Christopher Lambert.
Man, I would have killed to have him as Raiden instead of what we got.
Dude,
And he was the white
Thoth
one.
thanks you.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, I just realized I saw
love that too. I love that he's in the sweep. I love that reference to play the game that he kept doing the sweep. I was like, that's so cool. That's such a if you would have to play the game to get that reference. I'm like, that was a nice touch. So there's a lot of charm to be had in this, even if there's flaws. There's a lot of like,
yeah. Well, it's as good as we're going to get, I think, these days. So.
That's what it boils down to.
We're settling now. We're settling.
Well, I don't know that we're settling. What I do hear,
we must not settle.
No, we must not settle. And I remember in a previous stream, sort of just in the chat, listening to them talk about this. The consensus when the question was asked, the stuff at the end of the movie that you heard there, was that a promise or a tease? And the consensus amongst the cynics in that chat and that panel was, it's a tease. I'll say this, if that's a tease and the next movie doesn't have Johnny Cage, it doesn't do what they promised at the end of this one. That'll go right off a cliff.
Yeah, they were already getting minor flack prior to the movie coming out for not having Johnny Cage. Like, they were already getting flack for it. And so if they really did, like, if they really just all of a sudden, like, oh man, we're not going to do it anyway for the second movie, people should rightfully be frustrated.
There was one point in this movie of the CG or the effects, and I think in this case, there was a practical effect problem where maybe they should have gone CG. And I noticed it when I watched the movie. It was particularly obvious on a giant screen, but right here, that ice looked bad.
It looks like cellophane.
This didn't look good.
Of it, I'll be honest with you. I didn't. Maybe it was the tired factor, but I just don't think this was that bad. It's definitely not the best.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's definitely not great either.
I thought some of maybe the freezing was CG, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
like,
this when he found his wife and kid, killed and frozen in the beginning, this looked bad, and I did notice it when I watched the movie.
Okay, I didn't notice it certainly didn't yank me out of the scene and make me stop thinking about what he's doing and looking at going, holy crap, look at how bad that badly that ice is drawn. And that may be a function of a movie theater screen versus a HD television screen. But I just want to point something out here. This movie's gotten very mixed reviews.
Eric K.
I know. I like
silly string.
Yeah.
All right.
This was an ad.
Here's the thing. And I'm saying this is why I'm going to say we're not settling because we're doing what fans used to do.
Mhm.
We're picking out, well, this was good. Well, that sucked. Yeah, but it was offset by this. Well, but then there was that part. And it was like, well, I like the fight, especially the end. Or I'm going, yeah, but I like the fact that it actually had one story.
Oh yeah.
This was the only effect that I didn't like right here.
Well, that in and of itself, again, I go back to, they made this movie for how much in this day and age?
I know, right?
So, I mean, I'm going, hey, these guys punched way above their weight. They did some stupid things, but that's, come on, this is Hollywood in 2021.
Yeah.
You can't go a week without hearing somebody saying something stupid in the Hollywood Reporter or on Twitter. So to me, that's background noise. This was a movie that I went into going, I got to watch this because at some point I'm going to be on a panel and I'm not going to want to be the guy on the icon with a muted microphone waiting, trying to outweight the topic until the next one comes up, and fingers crossed, I know I can speak to that one. So I watched it, and I mean, this pulled me in at the very beginning. I was like, I didn't know who the guy with the glowing eyes was who showed up to collect the baby, but I found out later, so that paid off. I didn't mind that they left me hanging for a bit. So if you didn't know the characters, didn't know the lore, couldn't name somebody the minute they arrived on screen, and you can't evaluate how well they played their character because you don't know who their character was going in.
Mm-hmm.
This movie turned out to be a heck of a lot better than I expected. And I with respect, not ironic, with respect to all of the fans of the prior films and the games, you are looking at this under a microscope. I'm looking at this with a telescope from a great distance.
From the normie part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And all I'll say is this movie, and I said this in Jake's Discord, and I'm going to go ahead and walk right out on this limb and saw it off after me.
Sounds like a scene from the movie.
Yeah. This movie, if theaters continue to open up as governmental areas relax their iron grip that they've acquired due to the coup, and more screens become available, and this movie has the staying power and the word of mouth advertise. You got to go see this movie, man. I never saw it play the video games. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have played the video games or seen the other movies. Go see this movie. If that kind of word of mouth campaign starts for this thing, and let's keep in mind, we were talking not that long ago about Big Trouble in Little China, which was an absolute unmitigated box office disaster. And it's a cult classic now.
Yeah, very true.
So this movie, and I checked with my friends in the fandom who are experts on the finances of movie theaters, that being our own Jake D. and Odin from OMB Reviews, and theaters. Now, this whole thing about opening weekend, top box office, first 3 weeks of opening, box office, so it gets in Variety, it's reported. Box Office Mojo makes it a big table all by itself, I think, on their site. That is a studio's perspective on how good a movie is for them. Okay, that's where their money comes from. 3 weeks later, suddenly movie theaters get to start keeping the money from ticket sales. Now, they've been making money on concessions for 3 weeks, but now they get concessions plus ticket sales.
They should.
Right. And I remember when we were trying to get, I think it was Fenrir, to watch a whole bunch of older comedies, and we're throwing them at him like I don't know, like golf balls at a blind man. I went and looked up the box office totals for Smokey and the Bandit. which is a movie that the critics uniformly hated because they're all from New York and San Francisco and Chicago.
Movie.
And it's a great movie. And it capitalized on, I mean, it all but single-handedly made the CB craze of the 70s. So it had led, and I went, how long was this in the theaters? That movie was in theaters for almost, I believe it was close to a full year.
Oh, I could believe that. Yeah.
And I went and compared it to Jaws, and I went, Jaws, everybody says, that's the first blockbuster. Smoking the Bandit grossed more than half as much as Jaws, if I remember the numbers. Now, for a movie the critics all hated that was a buddy, basically it was a car chase movie and a comedy directed by a stunt man. That movie just blew people's, I mean, in the industry, it had to have blown people's minds. How did these yahoos manage to make a movie this profitable? So I'm saying, I'm looking at this going, this could be Smokey and the Bandit. It may not be the strongest on its opening weekend, but guys, if this movie is still in theaters a year from now,
which could happen.
The weirdness of what's happening in theater and movie releases right now, it's possible.
Yeah, it's already on the streaming service. There's no reason to take it out of theaters.
With the way things are currently set up, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring back Smoking the Bandit into theaters again.
Yeah, they already brought back a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
people want to go see the classics. They want to see good movies.
And something else. Not to cut you off, I know you. But there's a couple things that I thought of. One, I didn't notice that Demon Slayer was fucking also like it had like 20 million. The movie that made
they both did.
Yeah, they made so much more money in his home country of Japan, like hundreds of millions of dollars in Japan. One of the biggest movies in Japanese history, I believe.
Biggest in Japanese and the biggest anime ever.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think we kind of predicted, the end. I predicted the end of theaters. I predicted the end of theaters, and I said, "Oh, HBO Max, you guys are idiots." I am wrong on both accounts. HBO Max has grown over a streaming service because of this movie, the Snyder Cut, and Godzilla vs. Kong, all coming out within a month or so. 6 to 8 weeks. And now this platform is on par with Disney Plus, and they have 2 movies that are probably going to make over 100 million and make their money back in a pandemic. They proved me wrong. I was wrong, and the theaters are not dead either. I thought they were.
No, they're not dead at all. It's one thing. I think you have to combine the fact that you have these movies that are actually like trying to actually entertain people. Also, with the fact that a lot of people have been cooped up in their houses, that even with the option to watch these movies at home. Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, they had the option of watching at home. Dude, they didn't have to go see it. They had the option of staying at home. Unlike movies like Demon Slayer, which is even doing well too. They had the option, and yet they're still going to see it. And that's great for the theaters. You get movies that actually entertain, and they're going to the theater. This is, I know, right, Bryce Day?
Yeah. So three in a row making good movie and making good money, and they are what?
Yeah,
I hear Demon Slayer is good.
Yeah, I want to see it. There's so much damn hype on it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
What's funny is if you look at the box office numbers of it, now look at the weekend box office numbers of Demon Slayer versus Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Now look at their numbers of the millions that they made. They're not far from each other. But what's more interesting is the amount of theaters Demon Slayer is playing compared to 1,600. Demon Slayer is playing drastically less. So the desire and commitment to see Demon Slayer is there, which is funny because Hollywood, as they push the narrative number 1 million, they say, oh, this is too much of a niche audience. But yet that said niche audience went out of their way in this, what they like to call uncertain times, and still went out and sought this movie out. Yeah. The market is still there to see movies in a cinema.
If you give people quality,
it's closed.
To wrap up my point, this is a different environment for movies and theaters and Hollywood studios than anything in our lifetimes. So when we talk about how successful is this movie likely to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because in recent people talking about going to see this movie, I think Jake D, you said they had to put an empty seat between every party that showed up bought tickets.
Yep.
So 50% of the seats in the theater could be filled and 50% had to remain empty. Now, that's the equivalent of showing it in half as many theaters.
True.
Before the coup.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was sold out. Vidge, was your show sold out?
I believe so, because the thing is, in my theater, you pick the seats up online.
Yeah,
like
mine
you have
too.
to pick your specific seats, and so many were either blocked out or unavailable. So it was relatively sold out relative to that,
Okay.
the restriction.
All right, cool. So that adds to what Red Shirt's saying.
So my point is, how many theaters a movie's opening in or showing in right now isn't as significant as it used to be, because you need to know how many of the seats in those theaters are available to buy tickets for. And it's all going to come down to, do more theaters open? Do they go to higher capacity when they do? And how long do these movies stay in a theater with enough people wanting to see them to make it profitable for a theater to keep it on the marquee, the title up there on the marquee, now showing. So I basically bet that I said that Mortal Kombat ought to kick. I put this in the Discord. I said Mortal Kombat ought to kick Godzilla versus Kong's box office ass. And everybody immediately told me I was smoking the wrong cigarette.
Well, speaking of ass, Robert asked about Melina, the actress that played Melina. She's a very attractive lady. So I just had to add a joke. If she was my neighbor, I'd feel like Alex Jones. Which
I'm going to eat that ass.
she's a pretty girl.
Hey, guys, I've just realized where they got the mustache from. It's the one they CGI'd off Henry Cavill in Justice League.
Yeah, there you go.
That's where they got the mustache from. They borrowed it from Justice League.
All right, Shellback, you go get some sun, buddy. Good to see you here. Thanks, brother. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard people mention that Mylena was race swapped or something. I'm assuming they're correct because, again, I'm not deep into Mortal Kombat. I mean, I know that there's a character named Melina. I know that she's got the jaws going on. That's about what I know about Mylena. So to me, had y'all not said anything, I never would have even known.
Yeah.
Me neither. No.
But I mean, well, here's the thing about her being race swapped. So in the original game, she was portrayed as she was white, I believe. But I think, and then later she just became Asian at some point. And I'm not sure if it was one of those things because it was the 90s. They just figured to, make more of the characters westernized, and then she was supposed to be. But so I'm like, yeah, she's on her third race. She was already kind of race swapped before this. So
that's one of her superpowers.
There you go. She's hot. I don't care. Is the point? It's kind of the point. And I mean, it's not like, another thing I thought of. This movie was so not well acted, in my opinion, that I someone who's criticized Gina Carano, I need to put way more respect on her name as far as being an actress, because it could get a lot worse.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Jake, go ahead.
I mean, the acting was okay. I agree it wasn't like great or anything, but I don't think it was awful.
Well, you've all convinced me. I'm going to watch it. So
it's worth a watch. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
You know what? Another thing
watch the originals.
Oh, I love the original, very first original, not so much the second one, but
that's not good.
First one was good. I saw it back in the day. I'm an old guy,
So you know what's funny, man? So we've been rolling on Mortal Kombat for over an hour and a half so far, right? We have now talked about it longer than the movie is.
Could have just made the movie right here.
And we did the same thing on the Cocktail Lounge Friday night. We were on Mortal Kombat for like 2.5 hours, right? Like I didn't even notice we'd burned through that much time.
Yeah.
And the majority of the conversation, I think I think it was Redshirt made this point earlier. We were talking about what we liked or didn't like in the movie overall. We were talking about the movie itself more than anything else. And so that's a good thing, right? That the biggest thing we were talking about was the actual movie that we saw. I mean, we were bringing up CGI. We talked about the CGI in this movie for like 20, 25 minutes. And to me, that's an endorsement. Okay. I mean, it really is. The biggest complaint about the movie more than anything else was that dumb fucking comment by the director a month ago.
Yeah.
Other than that,
if he'd said nothing, that we would have been, we would never have touched on it. We would never known about it, and we'd just have talked about just the movie. Yep.
And I think I kind of believe him when he walked it back because they put John, that they hint, and I can't imagine unless they did the thing where he said the comment and they freaked out and said, "Okay, hurry up and shoot this," because unless something like that happened, he just probably did. He probably was in the identity, like, "Oh, I gotta speak my identity politics, so I can spin it this way." And then he was like, "Oh shit, that was not smart."
He had to walk it back because the studio threatened to make him wear the mustache.
Maybe like Nick Cage. No, not the bees, not the bees, not the mustache.
We were just talking about going back to cinemas there, Nick. I don't think they'll let you into the cinema because you always want to take a backpack full of your own food in, don't you?
That's funny you mentioned that. I'm actually their biggest customer when they go to theaters. I'm the guy who gets the extra giant size like bucket of popcorn. But my only what's the word here? Condition is if your theater does not have an extra butter self-serve station, I will not go there. You need to have that because
there's theaters that don't have that.
There is. Oh, I walked out. I've immediately got my ticket.
The theater I went to didn't have that. I was really pissed.
I
was already there. I was pissed, and they didn't even put butter on it. They gave you these little butter cups to put. It was stupid.
No.
I did not feel guilty at all for sneaking gummy bears and popping.
Now
I was like, fuck you guys. I felt guilty. I'm like, I'm too grown to be sneaking candy in. And then I got there, got that shitty popcorn. I'm so glad I snuck stuff in.
You're like, maybe I'm not too grown to do this. You guys fuck me on butter, so I fuck you back for money.
So Nick, all the concession staff know your name, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you wanna go.
Did anybody else's concession stand lines take an ungodly long amount of time?
Yes.
Like they didn't have enough people working.
Because you know why? Because for the past year, there's been nobody coming in on Fridays. And like, oh shit, there's a movie people want to see.
Yeah. Fuck, I was in line for concessions for like 25 minutes.
Yeah, it was 15 minutes, and there were only 3 or 4 people ahead of me.
I would expect that to change quickly, though.
Yeah.
We were talking about that in line, and we're just like, they haven't hired enough people back yet.
No.
They, and the people they've got, and oddly enough, most of the staff was like retired people. I mean, 60 plus age group was like,
wow.
I couldn't believe it. It was like,
that's interesting.
That's because us older people are poor. We need to go back to work.
Like 3/4 of the people working, and this is a Friday night at the biggest theater in town. 3/4 of the people there were visually, they appeared to be of retirement age. Working.
This might be a crazy question to you guys because I have not been back to a theater yet because they're all still closed here. Was it the full program? I mean, you got trailers, you got supporting.
Yeah, you got a full.
There was
no
no
20-30 minutes of trailers, the whole thing.
Good. There was no. Yeah, it was the full program. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Ooh, Eric K's a taco smuggler.
I haven't gone that hard, but if I ever go back to this theater, I'm smuggling everything in for that popcorn fiasco. I don't care.
I'm surprised they won't challenge you. You're wearing your mask. I mean, you know.
Why they make me wear a mask?
Are you kidding? These days in some cities, the 3 that he wears aren't enough.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know what? I walked into the movie theater with no mask on, and about half the people in the concession line didn't have their masks on. And I went to the grocery store today without my mask on. Oh, it was beautiful. I feel like a free man again.
Enjoy the free world, Jake.
There's a gas station near me. I walk in, same things like 4 out of every 5 people in there, no mask on.
In Michigan.
I'm like,
In Michigan.
I think I know.
They probably saw what Whitmer was doing in Florida. Oh, screw her. I've had enough now.
What I've been seeing is that corporate policies are requiring employees to wear masks, and patrons from an auto dealership to the grocery store, people are not wearing masks.
Yeah.
There may be employees they're wearing masks because the companies haven't relaxed their corporate policies on it yet, because they don't want to scare away the Karens who believe that the only thing keeping them from dying on the spot is your mask.
Well, specifically, it's the state mandating that.
Well, I'm saying in Texas, there is no longer this mandate. And even in Texas, most of the businesses that I see, restaurants, car dealerships, gas stations, convenience stores, whatever you want, employees are still wearing masks, but the vast majority of the public buying from them, patronizing them, eating at those restaurants are not wearing a mask. And I mean, the last time we went out to dinner and we walked into the restaurant without masks on, waiting for someone to go, "You can't come in here without a mask." Nobody said anything. And we went right to the bar and sat down and grabbed our seats, and the bartender wore a mask the whole time. That's it. It's changing.
Good.
Yep. It's shifting.
Richard, do you go to the Alamo Draft House theaters? Or
I've never been to one.
all right, yeah. I used to go to those when I lived in Dallas. Fantastic.
I
You can eat, get your dinner at your, they bring your food to your seat. You get your beer brought to you. No
In the-
talking, no phones. Brilliant. Yeah. Great
I've been
cinema.
to a theater like that had chairs that made me think I was about to fly to Europe in first class.
That's right. That's what
With
I
a s-
like.
Yeah, and I've been to one of those before I moved to Texas. So I went to a couple of movies in the Lux balcony section of the theater, and had them bring me a bag of bucket of popcorn and a scotch.
And they do.
Yeah, I
they're
love those
great
type of
because there's
theaters.
no talking, no phones allowed, and they enforce it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
They're
Nobody's-
actually in the theater to enforce it. It's great.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, once I discovered those, I was like, my days of buying a cattle car ticket to watch a movie sitting next to the guy with BO who won't shut up about what's going on here are over.
A benefit to COVID separation policies in theaters. The guy with BO, he can't sit next to you.
Yeah.
That's right.
That guy hates it now.
You know, I realize since a lot of us, if not the majority of us, are going to be in Vegas, that's going to be a few weeks after that UFC event happens, which is packed to the gills. So for sure, everything's going to be a go in Vegas, like smooth sailing is all I'm trying to lead at.
Yeah.
You know how cool it is? Because that thing sold out like that, and some newspaper tried to trash Dana White for it, and Dana White fired back. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, he wasn't going to have it. Because he's right. Like,
He's
that was so
Right.
bullshit. Like, they make them so much money. Those
Oh,
events
God,
make Vegas.
yes.
They're the lifeblood of Vegas. Like, shut up, newspaper guy.
I just gotta go get my taxes filed, see what that's going on with, and then I'll be booking my ticket to go.
I gotta figure out where I'm gonna stay, but I think I'll be there because it looks like I won't be closing on the house until probably January, so
Okay.
I should be able to go in August.
I'd love to go, but ironically, after being off work for a year plus, I might actually be going back to work.
All right. Hey,
that's a good reason not to go.
That's a good reason not to be able to go. I already have airplane tickets.
Yeah.
I already have a reservation at the Alara, just off Center Strip. So
is it your I'm sorry, Red Shirt, finish.
And Mrs. Red Shirt is going with me.
Nice.
That'll cramp your style.
No, not at all.
So, 70s, is your business opening back up so you can go back to the same job, or did you find something else?
It's the same company but a different job, and it's a seasonal one for now. But it's it's a travel business. So immediately last March, bang, everyone got laid off.
Oh yeah.
And it's a very specific part of the travel business. It's a specific niche, but high-end business. And
you run the hookers with the coke on their ass?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in charge of quality control. I'm the dresser. For the.
You played it also, so like, yes, exactly.
It's just normal to you.
Yeah. So they're planning to try and start up again in July.
Oh.
And yeah, so they said, "Oh, we'd like you to come back."
Hey, you should tell them to start back up you should tell them to start back up in May, because those hookers need their coke, man.
Yeah, but they have to wear a mask in between bumps. So it's like, okay, when you put your mask on,
we'll be starting to get a little chunky. I get that in and to lose a little bit of that weight.
There you go. Yeah.
So that quarantine weight, man. That quarantine weight.
So I shouldn't complain, but I thought, oh damn it, I wanted to go to Vegas.
Well, wait, if you're running the hookers, this is a business expense, man.
Yeah, life is ironic that way, though. But
you were recruiting. Went to Vegas for recruiting.
My man Rock has to come back with the hoe train. He's got.
You might not even be lying.
Godfather style.
Have you guys ever seen that old Woody Allen film, What's New Pussycat, with Peter O'Toole? It's a 60s movie. So at the end, so Peter O'Toole's asking him, what do you... I know. It's a full package. I do indeed have the full package. So anyway, Peter O'Toole asks Woody Allen at the cafe, he says, "What are you doing for work?" He says, "Oh, I got a job as a dresser at the strip club." And he says, "Well, what's the money like?" He says, "It's $50 a week, but that's all I can afford." So I'm not paying him, he's paying them. That's one of the funniest lines in a movie ever.
All right. So
yes, I don't think my job is quite as exciting as that, but
that's a shame. So you only no hookers and coke. That's too bad.
No.
So I do want to get into A-Train's entrance to the MCU.
Here we go.
Oh man. So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was retitled Captain America and the Winter Soldier this week, finally ended. Blessedly.
That was a good movie, but it wasn't this series. I already did a movie called Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's probably the best Marvel movie they ever did, but yeah. And I mean, Vidge, you really summed it up. It was you who called it A Train with Wings, I think. Yeah. Here's the thing. I didn't see anything, because after after WandaVision, the Ralph Boner thing, I was done. And I mean, part of the WandaVision was Gina, what happened with Gina. But I thought about, I'll probably wrap it up, because I thought going somewhere. But then when I heard they weren't, and how it ended, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna watch really, not just Marvel, but any series until it's approved. You've gotten through a season, even Invincible. I need a whole season done. I need everyone to say, yeah, this is good. Then I'll check it out.
That's funny. One left, Vidge. One left.
All right. All right. We'll see. And so, yeah, with this and all the mess, like, I was actually telling my brother this. I'm like, you know what? They made a whole season about making Falcon Captain America, and they could have solved it in a sentence in a new movie. Like, he's just Captain America. You just, oh, okay, whatever. They drew it out. They made it some political woke messaging that I don't know if it landed to. I don't know. And like, was this show popular genuinely? I don't know if it was or wasn't.
It's hard to say if it was or was not. I do know about the second episode. I mean, once again, grain of salt here, but that apparently the ratings dropped drastically from the second episode when there was the whole racial profiling going on with the cops. Now, I don't know about episodes 3 through 6 forward, but I do know about that particular second episode where that scene happened. But apparently, over 80% of viewers turned the show off after that scene. That's all I know. That's all I know as far as ratings and performance.
They gotta know things like that. Because here's the thing: for the people who disagree with whatever message you're trying to make, they're gonna disagree and turn it off. For the people who do agree, they're gonna feel like you're belittling and trying to profit off of it, and they're gonna be pissed and turn it off. That's why they end up, just pissing off everybody when they do shit like that.
Then why does anybody still watch the late night talk show hosts?
I don't know.
Because they intentionally piss off every person in their audience that doesn't want to clap for their snide, wise ass remarks posing as jokes. I still have butts and I still hear clapping if I make the mistake of looking at one of those for 10 seconds. So I would argue there is a core audience out there for that sort of nonsense. I don't know how big it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. How many?
At least, sorry, I'll let you go, Jake. No,
like talking about Winter Soldier, talking about the show seems to have gotten very little traction on YouTube, and that should tell you something. I think.
I didn't really feel a buzz even with WandaVision. And I felt less of a buzz with this, but I couldn't tell if it was just the fact of this being a very like pro woke show. Like the wokeness in WandaVision was a little more subversive and took later episodes where this was out front with it. And I thought, well, maybe it's just, in this corner, it's not going to play to us, so we're not going to pay attention to it. But outside of it, people are into it just because it's Marvel and how popular Marvel is. But I have no way of gauging that or telling that.
Okay, so I'll go, but if we're gonna go with that VW, I guess, I hate saying, because even though I say Twitter is not the real world, but let's just pretend for a second that Twitter is let's just pretend for a second Twitter is the real world. Pretend in the hypothetical
clench your pearls.
Yeah, clench your pearls, as Ripa says. Let's just, if we had to go by that scenario, there was at least a buzz on WandaVision. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier had none. And that's even dating back to the first episode before profiling and all that happened. WandaVision, at least there's people who were tuning in and wanting to see what was up. Falcon and Winter Soldier had none of that. And once again, that's just Twitter though. So I've not trusted any other website. And there was talk undeniably on YouTube about WandaVision as well. There was undeniably
a lot more anticipation.
There was a lot more talk.
And there was a lot of talk on WandaVision. Yeah.
It was even more covered on like Marvel movie entertainment websites. There was definitely even more coverage for the show. So I guess now we have 3 different websites and platforms we're talking about. So I think it's safe to say there was more buzz and anticipation for WandaVision overall than Falcon and Winter Soldier. Maybe it had something to do too, not just with the way the show was led with WandaVision, but also it was the first thing Marvel put out since 2019 as well. So now at the point WandaVision ended, they've gotten their feet wet a little. So maybe that could have helped to its advantage with WandaVision.
Maybe. And I know with a lot of the Mephisto and what was going to happen, a lot of speculation helped that along as well. even that again, I didn't think it was it wasn't as buzzed about as Mandalorian. It really wasn't even as buzzed about, if you remember, for that 2-week period or whatever it was. What oh Jesus, it just slipped my head. Fucking Cobra Kai. Even though it didn't last that long, like that week or two when it first dropped, Cobra Kai was very, very like white hot and talked about everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
red hot.
Well, give you an idea about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just to kind of put it into context for you, in terms of buzz on YouTube. So take a guy like Jeremy Johns. Okay, we all know who Johns is, right?
That's a fair. I like using him because he's a fair normie. Yeah, everybody knows who he is. Type guy.
He's got almost 1.8 million subscribers, almost. Okay, 1.77 million. Okay. And so 1 week ago, he did a Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 5 review, 315,000 views. 3 days ago, he did a Mortal Kombat movie review, 683,000 views. That helps you, I think, see the difference in the buzz.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a very good judge to use. Somebody that's like a good, what's it, control is I think the phrase I'm looking for.
Yeah, like a control group. Yeah,
because it's like, okay, that's normie. That's not a super. They're more, if they're not normies, there will be more film nerd type guys, not necessarily genre specific. So yeah, I don't think this was ever that buzzed about. I also think they were trying to woke their way into buzz.
Oh, they totally were. Oh God, were they ever? And it didn't help Vidge because, especially at the last episode, it feels like they were trying to do woke messaging, but at the same time they were trying to walk it back at times. So there was mixed messages more than a very like misleading relationship. Seriously, it's kind of like when there's the relationships, like, well, where someone's like, well, I'm saying this, but I mean this. There's a lot of that in the show, particularly in the last episode. Like, it's just like, especially with there's the whole flag smashers, and then there's that quote that Bradley Walker said to Sam Wilson about how no self-respecting black man would wear the stripes, but then Sam puts on the stripes. So there's a lot of contradictive message in this show. Oh my God, lots of it.
Here's another comparison for you. Has everybody heard of Thunder Force?
Yeah.
That really like awful looking Melissa McCarthy thing where
Thunder Force.
Yeah. So John's 2 weeks ago did a movie review on Thunder Force. And again, almost 1.8 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Thunder Force got 361,000 views. So he did better on his Thunder Force review than his Falcon and Winter Soldier reviews.
Yeah. Nobody cares in droves is what the message there. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's funny that even both of those are still trailing the Mortal Kombat review. That's the most recent of them. And it just shows like it's not just us. You know what I mean? It's not just us.
Right.
Bullshit.
It isn't.
I can't help but to wonder if the only reason Thunder Farts topped Falcon and Winter Soldier was a little morbid curiosity. No pun intended, as I just said.
A little bit of morbid obesity? What?
Morbid curiosity.
And
People like to
JT,
see stuff get trashed.
JT, to your point, the Critical Drinker did a Thunder Force review 2 weeks ago, 882,000 views. 2 weeks, that's 441,000 views a week if we average it. 12 hours ago, he did Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I can't wait to watch that.
I have watched that. I left a comment. He did that.
Wait.
That is up to 348,000 views. It'll be interesting to see how the week averages go when we've got a week on that and 3 weeks on Thunder Force.
Well, I would say with Falcon, with Critical Drinker in particular, it's a little less of a control because I can see an inverted interest where something that's really bad, like Thunder Force, is going to do popular on his channel because this is bad. We want to see it, and so Falcon and the Winter Soldier getting high marks might be a negative because people are looking to see it get trashed.
Well, everybody loves a train wreck, you know.
I'm looking forward to seeing what EFAB has to say.
Oh God! Can you even imagine Mahler talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
They were going, aren't they? Are they still going? Because they're still going, I believe.
Oh my!
It's been 3 weeks. They're still going.
Mahler, so of course, I don't even know why I asked. Like, of course they're still going.
Yeah, it's fucking EFAP, man.
It's only 5 hours. That's nothing for them.
Yeah, that is. That's an EFAP short.
Getting warmed up.
Just to sum up the ludicrousness of those two actresses being in an action role, it took them 2 trips to haul ass.
Jake D, I've just had a bit of a revelation. I don't know how germane it is to this. I think it is.
Oh yeah, they're still going. I just checked. They're still going. It's been over 5 hours now.
People are just getting started.
They've just said hello
on there too. Yeah,
they've just finished saying hello to each other. Yeah. Lord of the Rings reference there.
Oh man!
But you know, we asked some time ago how did the late night comics stop going for laughter and start going for clapter, right? Mm-hmm. Where when they say something, you don't get laughs. The audience applauds them.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, it's terrible. It's creepy.
And so we had that. Why is comedy dying? Why is it being replaced by this garbage where the audience is just being told how much smarter they are than the stupid person being held up for them? Straw man argument, essentially. and then we see in Star Trek and in Star Wars and in all of these shows that we've loved for so long, and they're being trashed for an agenda, and the entertainment's just being drained out of them. I think there's a connection. The original late night comics wanted laughter, and they were after everybody in the audience, and they wanted to make every single person in the audience laugh. The new ones are much more focused in their audience selection, and they're looking for people who are woke, and the woke don't want to be made to laugh because they have no sense of humor. No. They want affirmation. They want affirmation. They want to be told how smart they are for being woke. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is true for a piece of, in just absolutely horrendous messaging like Falcon and Winter Soldier. That is aimed at an audience that wants to be told, yeah, I was right to become a communist in college, and I was right to burn a flag in this Berkeley Square, and power to the people. It's not for entertainment anymore. It's for the woke to go and get affirmed that they didn't waste their lives by spending $250,000 borrowed government money on a degree in gender studies that's going to qualify them one day, perhaps, to be a barrister at a Starbucks.
Yeah, that major that they majored.
It is one of the defining marks of a repressive regime, an authoritarian regime in society, when the entertainment only exists to prop up the regime.
Yeah,
exactly.
Ooh, yeah. We are right there. And never forget, both in the UK with the BBC, I think you got they're trying to fund, thank goodness. But I mean, our tax dollars go to the entertainment industry, especially after this past year. Lots of bailouts for them.
Awful.
So speaking of entertainment and the elites, is anyone watching the Oscars?
No.
I haven't watched those for years now.
The what?
No.
If Ricky Gervais hosts them, there's no reason.
Oh, dude, he already commented about on Twitter, and his post was hilarious.
I bet it was.
He's like, so apparently I wasn't invited to the Oscars. Was it something I said?
I think I've got to clean out Yeah, I've got some lint to clean out of the bottom of my pockets, which I'd rather do instead of watch the Oscars.
I do that for you. That's how much more excited. I'm going to come up by where you are.
I don't know if I want you putting your hand in my pockets. Nick,
Yeah, sure. You know what?
32 flavors of pocket lint.
not to say you're not attractive, of course. You're an attractive man, but
Oh man, guys, the only thing I've seen of the Oscars in probably 10 years was Ricky Gervais's opening monologue, which I watched 4 times.
Oh god, yeah, I've watched it like 12 times, and that's the only thing I've seen out of the last 15, 20 years.
Wait, so wait. Oh, the bee.
I thought this
bee.
was real.
I had to check the source here real quick.
I actually thought this was real.
I thought this might be real too. The bee. Is it not the bee? Because they do have that not the bee where they cover real stuff.
Oh, this is the bee.
It's
so
the
close
bee.
to the truth,
They gotta step up their game, man. They gotta step up because everything they say now is closer to becoming real life that they now have to get even more outlandish.
That's
Well, you
right.
know,
That's
Are
called
you
Ohm's
familiar?
law.
are you familiar with a blogger named Instapundit? Glenn
yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know what Instapundit calls the Babylon Bee?
What?
America's new paper of record.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
Nick,
this is
what was that website you guys were looking at on the yelling at parked cars that can just like generate the news?
Oh,
It was a
we used
AI
my
thing.
name, the AI generator,
It
to
was
make an
an
article.
AI
We made one
news
about me to see if I was gay or not. Oh man.
I already knew that, Nick. I mean, come on.
I
So-
can't. I got message comics on this one. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that was I can't remember. It was like AI something. Oh my god, I remember that because Culture's like, let's ask this thing if Nick Weiser is gay, and then also it turned into like this whole like word salad article. Oh, it was great.
Not real news.
Well,
So,
but Nick, wait a minute. You buried the lead. Are you?
Exactly. That was the result. Well, no, I think the real question, Redshirt, would be for Nick is which community has the best snacks?
Well, that does. That does make a
the
difference.
only thing that eliminates is the vegans.
That's right.
Oh yeah, not even close.
That's right.
I go where the meat's at.
Oh, so you are gay.
oh boy.
Oh, Perry Chan, if you're listening,
There's some material here. Yeah.
Hey, come on! I like my jerky. What can I say?
Yes, we all know what
You're not
happens
helping your
after that
case, Nick.
33rd jerk, too.
Well,
Speaking of jerks,
I
I've
like
been wanting to make this point.
teriyaki. Go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
so
God.
Red Shirt said something about the late night talk host. I was looking. So in 2019, I'm just using it as a control. Jimmy Kimmel Live averaged about 6.76 million viewers. Do you know what he got? Was it February 8th of this year as far as viewers?
Under 1 million.
Well, no, 1.6 million.
Oh, not far off.
But yeah, so 5 million people aren't watching.
At a
That's
time
what
when more
happened.
people are stuck at home than ever before. Yeah.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot. That's saying a lot. Oh my
And remember,
god!
I went average to. I'm sorry, I knocked my shit down. I went from an average to 6.7. That's average, and then I just took one random episode. So I'm sure there could be other episodes, but this year, Pat, plus 18 months, 5 million people gone. That's what happened.
Should fucking tell you something.
look at what happened to Doctor Who's ratings.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could do this experiment, and somebody with just a little bit more knowledge of statistics than I have could probably come up with a pretty rough estimate of the woke population, because they're the only ones left watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
And
many?
I'm going to say from what we've just seen there and what I've heard, I'm not going to remember exact numbers. The woke population is probably no more than 20%.
I would guess hardcore woke. Yeah, probably max 20%,
give or
And
take. Yeah.
even if that was 20%, how much of that 20% is actually watching and not just talking about it on Twitter?
Right.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, that all of Twitter talks about it because they're just about all that's left there. That and a bunch of blue check marks.
Mhm.
But that 20% is the people who watch. That's the audience score. That's its rating.
That's
So,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so 20%, as a rough thumbnail, is probably the number of people. So which audience would you rather cater to? The 20% who are woke and want to be affirmed, or the 80% of us who want entertainment?
Well, if you're somebody who wants and needs to be affirmed at the same time, which one do you think you're going to pick? Because that's the issue. The people making the stuff are in the I need to be affirmed group.
Bingo.
Yeah, they're also economically illiterate, so they don't care about the money.
Oh,
That's
yeah. And
definitely
that's
true
what
of
they say.
BBC.
They don't care if they go under. They don't care because they see it as, oh, it's one more step towards, absolute control or the
That's right.
patriarchy.
Well, that
yada,
and they,
yada.
like I said, they get enough funding.
They
They'll
get
figure.
bailed
They
out.
figure they'll get funding. And Bryce Day, what I meant is that was the average viewer, not that that's an average number. I'm not sure that was a joke. Probably was a joke, and I didn't pick up on it. But yeah, a lot of viewers that aren't there. They got their clap there. People clapped, but nobody stuck around.
That affirmation clap.
But okay,
Yes,
so I'm
you said the
going
right
to circle back on that then, and don't accuse me of being the press secretary, please, because
Circle back.
that's it. That it would be a mortal insult for which I would never forgive you. No, but if that's the case, doesn't it seem significant that 3 movies in a row have come out that aren't really catering to that 20%?
Man, somebody's gonna, because there are still people who want to make money, and I keep thinking about the companies that aren't Disney or Warner Brothers, like the MGMs of the world. Like, what do? You know what I mean? Sony's trying to click up with Netflix and Disney Plus and all these. Like, when I look at the movie industry, there's got to be people who say, "Listen, we need people to watch our stuff. We can't play these woke games anymore." And somebody's gonna try to be a brand that's more about entertainment. And hell, I mean, as mixed as we were about Mortal Kombat, it's probably already made its money back worldwide. I think it already has. It's gotten really close to its budget.
Damn close.
And I can't. I think they'll notice, because this is too apparent.
The thing to watch for will be whether that company buys a property like Pixar, or whether Disney buys that company. Because that'll tell you who wins.
Fair point, man. All right, gents, I think it is about time for us to get wrapped up for the evening. The Inquisition's getting going in, somewhere between 20 and 45 minutes, depending on gear.
On gear. Yeah. It's Nerdrotic standard time.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm going to go take a nap. I might be able to wake up in time to catch the start.
There you go. You should be able to get in like a 3-hour power nap some days.
Mauler will still be going on when the Inquisition ends anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So before we head out, though, any final thoughts, Ironcaster? Anything you want to plug?
All right.
Final thoughts?
Let's see. Mortal Kombat was pretty good. I guess we should ask the question to get back to Mortal Kombat for a second. Is everyone here in agreement you'd see a sequel?
Yes.
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 Yes, definitely a sequel. And I hope the sequel's better. And it may be. I think they have enough to get better on. They have enough to improve on.
They got to do better.
Do better, Mortal Kombat.
Do better, Mortal Kombat.
We'll circle back on that one, Nick. We'll circle back on that one.
So,
right.
I guess getting back to me.
It's all
about you.
It's all about you.
Yes, of course. You guys on the getting caught up to speed. Yeah. No. I guess to plug myself, if we're closing out. I'm Ironcaster. I like to talk about big stompy robots, mech suits, mecha guys in rubber suits. Stomping on model buildings, all that fun stuff. And not this week, but next week I'll be starting Mecha Mondays, where I'll be doing in the afternoons I'll be doing a Monday show talking about robots, so Mega Man, Iron Man, what have you.
All right, sounds good.
Is the color not fixed yet? Try using.
Oh, your toy's big.
At this point, it's a meme that I bust him out.
Yeah,
you got yourself colored there too, man. You leave your mark all over that thing.
It is not a stream unless the Transformer comes out with Ironcaster. Draco, I know you had to step away for a minute. Did you make it back to say goodbye?
No,
he did not. All right, V-Dub, anything you want to plug? What do you got coming up, brother?
Well, I have me and Matt are gonna we have 2 shows this coming week because we're doing our normal Culture Crime Fighters every Wednesday. It's gonna be on my channel this week, but we're also gonna do it from dusk till dawn stream. We want to talk about that movie. We'll do that on Tuesday on his channel, I believe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Are you also going to look into the series?
We were just going to talk about the first movie, but that could be a sequel stream because I never saw the series or any of the sequels or anything, just the original movie. So and just a spoiler alert, it more than holds up. More than
no doubt about it. All right, very good. Red Shirt. Anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up, brother? Have you finished Black Ops yet?
Get almost, not quite. I'm sorry. It's been. I think I've got too. I'm trying to spin too many plates. That was certainly true this weekend. Good grief. But I'm working on that. I've now got Mortal Kombat movies to watch, just to add to all of it on top of everything else. And no, I just if you're not subscribed to every one of these people, why not? You should be. And I will sure. And first of all, also Jake, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be on these streams with you. And I'm sure I'll see all of you in a chat somewhere.
You betcha. All right. That's 70s Rock Fan. Final thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me on. That's very good of you. You've made a happy man very old. In terms of plugging things I've seen, Nobody, great movie. Nobody, very good movie indeed. If you haven't seen it, take the chance to see it. Yeah. My own little channel, I just released last night the first in an exciting new series of videos. I'm calling it the underlooked bands as opposed to overlooked bands. It's bands that were have kind of been forgotten about today, even though they may have had a little bit of success in their time. So if you want to hear me droning on for 20 minutes about bands that I loved and why, then that's going to be right up your street.
I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, and I'm working on a few other things, but that's me. So
nice.
All right, I dropped your link in the chat, and by God,
my friend,
if you're into what he talked about, or even if you just want to be a good person, give him a sub. Head on over there, give him a sub. I just did.
Cool.
All right, and
Thank
the
you.
33rd Flavor. How are you, brother?
Anything I am alive. Oh man, I got a lot I want to plug. I got snacks I want to plug.
It's time for the Oscar speech.
Anyways,
I'd like to think waffle.
Let's see. The usuals, my socials, mine, Twitter, Instagram, at Nick Weiser, and I also got Yelling at Park Cars with Comics Division, Netflix and Chill with Latino Slant, Gold Quill, Geek Gang with Clobber Times. Oh, I got a T-Rex burger video this week that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna fight the T-Rex burger and I'm gonna win. So be ready for that.
Are you going to eat it live on video?
I might actually.
You might win the battle, but the T-Rex burger will win the war.
Oh, I promise. I will. I'm not a loser. This thing, I have fought better men, and better men tried and failed. But I also got you know how a lot of Hollywood celebrities always talk about the first time this has ever happened. They did it with Black Panther, they did it with Shang-Chi, they did it with Captain Marvel. I'm gonna do a rant video crushing this whole narrative. It's gonna be great. So that'll be out this week. It's been fun chatting with you guys. Look forward to doing it again. Always a pleasure hanging out with all you fine gentlemen. Till we all do this again.
All right. Buddy, have a good evening.
You